Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having an unbelievable week. Hope that all the things that you are striving to achieve in your life in every area and aspect are seeing progression. Remember what I always tell you, that no matter where you are, no matter how dark it may seem, if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. I can't tell you how many times that I've had my back against the wall because I'm striving for something of value, because I'm pushing for something beyond what everybody else is doing, because I see the value in extending and expanding my reach and myself and my capacity to fulfill my purpose and my design. That my back's been against the wall. And the thing I have taught myself, number one, I'm built for this. The great designer designed me to be able to withstand the forces and the pressure that is against me. No matter how vehement it may be or seem, I'm built for this. That's one of the things that I've had to remind myself on more than one occasion as I'm facing difficulty, as I'm facing struggle, heartache, setbacks, disappointments, and so many other things that are simply par for the course for life. I remind myself I'm built for this. And then I tell myself that if I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight. And I think that it's important that you understand that if you still are alive on this earth, your life still has purpose. Your life still has capacity and potential. Your life still has the things in it that you need to go beyond where you are. There's no such thing as a lot in life. Poverty is not your lot in life. Suffering and abusive relationships are not your lot in life. Living life unfulfilled and just going through the motions just to pay bills isn't your lot in life. You're here to be a representation of the designer. No matter how you see God, not my way, not my job to tell you your relationship with God, but my responsibility is to tell you that if you are claiming to have a relationship with God, your responsibility is proper representation of the designer. In other words, you need to be in your life living a way that's reflective of your designer. It doesn't mean that you're going to always be in a place where everything is going well. It doesn't always mean you're going to be on cloud nine. It doesn't always mean you're winning. It means that even when your back is against the wall, people can see your reflection, the reflection of God, in how you're standing, how you're posturing, how you're expecting, how you're not shaken to the point that you fold over and quit. It's the perseverance in the storm that's most reflective of the character of God and the power of God in your life. So again, I say, if you're still breathing, you are still in the fight. Today is Thankful Thursday. I want to talk to you about the importance of self talk. But before I do, I want to remind you there are only 3 days left to register for the Mastering AI webinar that I'm doing on the 30th of this month. And the reason we are only doing a short registration is there's going to be some interaction between me and the registrants between now and the actual webinar. So I need to have everybody on board by this weekend. So Saturday at 11:59 p.m. registration stops. So if you want to learn how to master AI, if you want to learn how to use it to monetize your ideas, to monetize different things that you're doing already online, if you want to learn how to create new spaces online using AI, you want to attend this webinar. If you are looking to start a business anytime soon, if it's been a vision or a dream, you want to attend this webinar. If you're talking about scaling out an existing business, you want to attend this webinar. Um, about 4 or 5 years ago, I connected with some of my tech guys, people that I have known for years that have been in tech, that are everything from programmers, writers, program designers, and they've been yapping about AI before it ever went mainstream. And I decided I better get ahead of it. I wanted to learn as much as I could because I wanted to be able to be one of the people who leveraged it versus feared it. And so and initially it was scary because the things this technology can do is remarkable, but it can be misused, but I want to teach you how to use it as a benefit. Now, in addition to me teaching, this is a 2-hour webinar where I'm going to give you A to Z on it, everything from creative works, virtual assistants, the gaming industry, and how the gaming industry is for a lot of people, you know, no big deal. We look at it, what's the big deal? On YouTube, which is a great place to generate revenue if you have content. Gamers are the #1 earners on YouTube. I think like the top 6 or 7 out of the top 10 are gamers. And so there's a whole lot to be said in that app development, so many other things. There's so many different ways to do this, so many ways to automate processes, so many different ways to do it. So I'm going to teach you some of the things that we've been doing at Rick Wallace Enterprises over the last year with AI. I'm going to teach you some ways that you can take a business idea from scratch and create it. I'm going to take you and show you how you can take a business online that may not be doing anything, or take something you're doing online that you don't really consider a business, and realize how you can monetize that. It's so many different things, and we're going to teach you that. And to really, really, truly put you in a position to win, what I'm going to do also is I'm going to give you my 7-day online business launch course, which is a $600 course. I'm going to give it to you free if you register for this course. The reason being is when you start to hear some of the ways that you can use this, you're going to want to have a way to use it. The 7-day online business launch course is the literal blueprint that I've used over the last 13 plus years to create multiple entities online to generate revenue. And I've done it again for 13 plus years. I have been my own boss for God knows how long, and I have primarily functioned and generated probably 80% of my revenue is either generated online or initiated online. There are some things obviously I do outside of that, but I got a lot of my revenue now, and obviously as I get, closer and closer to my 60s, I'm going to start to, be more heavily weighted in assets and things of that nature, which is a part of what I'm doing now. But my company itself is an asset. And so we're teaching all that stuff too. Now, here's the big thing, and then I'm going to go ahead and get into Thankful Thursday. For those who register between now and Saturday, not only are you going to get 2 hours worth of teaching on how to master and leverage AI, to generate revenue, to solidify your business, so many different ways. It's so underused or misused right now because everything is a toy to people. And people use social media as a place to kick it instead of a place to earn money, and a place to network, a place to build uh, customer intelligence, develop customer intelligence. So many things we miss because we don't understand, and we constantly okay with the status quo. I want you to get out of the status quo. I want you to get out of thinking like we've always thought, and understand that there's so much out there. This isn't about greed. It's about optimization of your life, and in the quality of your life and the impact you can have. And the truth of the matter is, the more resources you have, the more impact you will have. It is simple. But anyway, not only will you get the 7-day online business launch course, but you will also get your name entered into a drawing. And this for all registrants, whether you're able to attend or not, because the webinar will be recorded, and people who have registered, if you didn't show up, everybody, whether you show up or not, will get a copy of the actual recorded so that you can watch it and go back and take notes or whatever, and all of that. So, but whether you attend or not, if you're registered, your name will go into a drawing. I am going to draw one name during the actual webinar. I'm going to draw one name, and that person will be gifted a platinum coaching package with yours truly. That's 52 weeks, a minimum of 52 sessions, A through Z comprehensive, intensive planning strategy, and goal setting, whole nine, a $15,000 value, free. One person is going to get that, and I'm laughing, but right now, because some of my current and former clients are registering, and they're registering hoping to win that. I know what they're doing. Plus, you know, they probably want to know AI too, but I know that there's a reason why that the focus of people registering are people I've worked with before. They know what's up. And it's cool. I mean, if I've worked with them before, I don't have anybody that I've worked before that I wouldn't want to work with again. Some are more challenging than others, but normally the more challenging, the more rewarding and uh, empowering it is to work with them. So again, if only 3 days left, Saturday at 11:59, the registration stops. And if you don't know or have mastered or entered a course about mastering AI, you want to get ahead of this because it's going to play a major role. Goldman Sachs has gone on record in saying that AI will, in the next 6 to 18 months, eliminate or replace 300 million jobs. Now, that sounds scary, but it's going to create opportunities for others. And so where are you going to be in that? How much will you have to try to relearn or learn at a time when you're going to be stressed out about what's going on? Get ahead of the game, create spaces. Don't wait for something to happen. I tell people all the time, there's two ways you're going to get there. You're going to either voluntarily jump or you're going to get pushed by life. Don't wait until you get pushed by life. Get out there. So let's talk Thankful Thursday. So uh, there's a Bible verse that says there's the power of life and death in the tongue. And then it gives you the one, speak life. And there's so much science behind that. Our self-talk is a major, major, major part of the outcomes of our life. It is a reflection of what we're thinking. I believe it was in Matthew, where Jesus says, out of the abundance of the hearts, the mouth speaks. Well, when we start to really study and start to break down when you talk about heart and mind, which is mentioned constantly throughout the Bible, what are we talking about? We're talking about the subconscious and the conscious. The mind, or nous in the Bible, is the conscious. The heart, or cardia in the Bible, is the soul, the center of being, what drives you. And we now know scientifically that 96% of human behavior is driven by what? The subconscious, the heart. So out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. It speaks what's inside. But here's what we also know. That's why we're told to guard the tongue out of the, and we're told to watch what we speak. So you shall declare a thing, it shall be established for you. So then what does that mean? That means that I have to be very careful what I speak, because what I'm speaking is not just a reflection of what's on the inside. It's a reinforcement. So I speak it. My mind hears me speak it. It reinforces the belief. So the only way I untangle a bad belief is I have to speak against it, even though there's a part of me anchored into it. I have to speak against it. You shall declare a thing, it shall be established. You have to understand that speaking, let's put it like this. Say your brain is the most powerful supercomputer on the planet. It has the ability to process billions of bits of information per second. We so underuse our brains, we so underuse our minds because we have narrowed the focus of what's going on. We tend to focus on the wrong things. And there are certain things you focus on that literally constricts the ability of the brain to function. And that's anything that creates stress, anything that creates fear shuts down the prefrontal cortex. And that's where our reason, rationale, and proper processing, impulse control, and so much more happens. So then we understand that sometimes we put ourselves in a situation where we limit our ability to solve our problem because we engage it from the wrong end. We speak wrong, we think wrong, we act wrong. So again, what is it? So you have the brain, this unbelievably powerful supercomputer. Your self-talk is literally going to be the program that computer runs. That's the power of self-talk. I'll give you a prime example in my own life, my own situation. I've had a blessed life, no doubt about it, but I've had a life. And what's the saying? Life be life, and life's, trust me. So I don't care how good you've got it going on. I don't care all the things that you've been able to do and accomplish. I've done some unbelievable things. And I'm not done yet. But what I can tell you is I've had some lows. I've had some difficulties. One of the most devastating times in my adult life was losing my great-grandfather, who was my adopted father. My grandmother's parents reared me, adopted me and reared me. So, so me, I'm giving my mom and my grandmom the business. I'm your brother and I'm your uncle. And, but the truth of the matter is they loved me and they gave me a lot. That man was the uh, model of manhood that I still try to live up to today. He was the son of a sharecropper he was born in 1909. Son of a sharecropper, had to drop out of school in the second grade and get in the fields and work with his dad just to make ends meet. But he was a man's man and he taught me so much. I lost him at 25. I still have not fully recovered from that. That was 30, what? This year to be 31 years. And 1992, Thanksgiving in 1992. So this year on Thanksgiving, right around the 23rd, I think, something like that, makes 31 years. And there are still moments where I wake up crying with tears in my eyes. He was that powerful of an influence in my life. And I'm just hoping, and I believe I am, I'm hoping that I've had that kind of influence, not just on my children. Um, some of them might want to cut me right now, but not but I know my kids love me. But not just on my children, but on the people in life. And so what happened is right after that, I was in a groove into this. I was doing things. I was experiencing success in my life, and then that happened. And then I realized that shortly after that, things started to go down. I'm like, okay, I'm just in a rut. And it kept going and it kept going. And it was, things that would just seem to go through now was all of a sudden meeting resistance. And I could not understand what was going on. And so I sit up and I said, wait a minute, hold on a second. Something's not right. So I called my mentor, and in calling my mentor, um, we had a conversation. It's 15, 20 minutes into the conversation. He said, hey, I already know what the problem is. I'm like, what? I haven't even really got started yet. He said, I know all I need to know. He says, we've been on the phone about 15 minutes and you've already said I can't win for losing 4 times. And I just sit back and I was like, wow. He said, you're speaking your truth and you're writing the narrative of tomorrow with your words. And I made that when I wrote my 23rd book. No, I take that back. My 21st book. I Am the Power of Personal Declarations. I made sure I put that story in there. I made sure that you understand that when you speak, you're declaring something. And when you look at, if you go back, whether you are a Christian or not, there's principles in this that can be verified and validated. I know personally 3 atheists that live by the principles of the Bible. And so there's some value in it. And it's often misunderstood and misused anyway. But I want to tell you something. If you go and you look at the Hebrew of the statement, it says, you shall declare a thing and it shall be established on you, so that light shall be shined upon your path. And if you look at it and you break it down in Hebrew, the word that's translated declare is unique because it actually means to cut out, to cut away from, to put away or isolate. So when you declare something, you pull it out of the muck or the nebulosity or ambiguity of all the things that are going on in your mind, all the things that are going on in your life, all the things that you wish, and you pick this one thing, you sit up and say, this thing is going to happen. Now, what have you've isolated it from everything. You've put it in focus. Now, there's this thing in the back of the brain, at the base of the brain, a bundle of nerves called the reticular activating system. This reticular activating system is what keeps you from losing your mind. It determines, it prioritizes for you the things that you give emphasis to, the things you focus on, the things that you give the most attention to. Get a prioritization in your mind, because remember, the subconscious mind has the ability of processing 4 billion bits of information per second. The conscious mind can only process 2,000 bits of information per second. So things that you can be consciously aware of at any time, 2,000 bits per second, which is pretty phenomenal. But when you compare that to the 4,000 bits per second that the subconscious can process, the conscious mind cannot keep up with that. And trying to do so will just have you in a fog and dysfunctional all day long. So how does the brain do it? Through the reticular activating system. It says, this is important, this is important, this is important. And that's what it will highlight and look for and search out through its natural scanning, through vision primarily, but also through hearing and even taste and touch. But what happens is In this, we prioritize something. I'll give you a prime example of reticular activating system in action. Have you ever sit up and saw something that you went out and bought recently, and all of a sudden you see it everywhere? But before you bought it, it wasn't that obvious to you. But now that you got it, it's a car or a blouse or a purse or a shirt or something. And now you see it everywhere, and you go like, man, everybody went out and bought my whip. Everybody went out and bought my shirt. No, it was always there. Your brain just hadn't been told it was important to you until you went and spent money on it, which is a categorization. If I spend money on something, it's something I want. It's important to me. So then what happens? Now I see it everywhere. That's because now it's your subconscious has been told it's important, so it moves it to the top so that now it can be received and perceived by your conscious mind. So again, when you speak something, you are automatically giving your reticular activating system a notion or an indicator or a message that this is something important to me. When you make a personal declaration, like say in the past with me, I can't win for losing. Guess what the reticular activating system does? He can't lose. Let's find all the ways that he can't lose. So now everything that's going wrong in my life, it goes and find every little incident, every little situation, everything that's going to be a problem, it finds. And all of a sudden, I've got all of these overwhelming things coming at me. I get anxious, trigger the stress response in my brain, the most ancient part of the brain. It triggers a stress response. What happens with a stress response? You go into fight or flight. Even though there's nothing to fight and nothing to run from, the ancient part of our instinctive responses is to trigger that response. It's how we save our lives in the case there is something that's trying to kill us. So then what happens? The frontal lobe, especially the prefrontal cortex, shuts down. Why? Because it demands a great deal of blood and oxygen to function. And so that blood and oxygen is now being sent to my extremities, my hands and my feet, to either fight or flee. Now, I'm not running anywhere. I'm not going anywhere because the problems I'm facing aren't physical. But my brain and my body won't dictate that, will not be able to distinguish that when I'm in fight or flight. But I created it by telling my mind to focus on it until my subconscious mind just gave me an overwhelming overdose of everything that's wrong. Now, guess what happens on the opposite side of that? When I sit up and say, you know what? I'm going to win today. You know what? I am a winner. You know what? I am abundant. And that's one of the things I speak when I speak every morning. I wake up and I finish my prayer. And at the end of my meditation, I say that I am confident. I am serene. I am sure no matter what obstacle or undesirable circumstance crosses my path, I refuse to accept it, for it is nothing but an illusion. There can be no obstacle or undesirable circumstance to the mind of God, which is in me and around me and serves me now. I am committed to excellence. I am adequately sufficient to meet every challenge. I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am debt-free. I am powerful. I am relentless. I am dominant. I create, generate, elevate, gravitate, and dominate. I win. This is how I start every day. Now, it doesn't mean that it eliminates my challenges. What it does is it means when I meet a challenge, I'm already telling myself, I got this. I'm built for this. I'm prepared. This is simply a puzzle meant to be solved, and the answer is always already on the way. Why? Because I have the mind of God. It's only when I forget who I am. It's only when I forget where I'm from. It's only when I forget my design. It's only when I forget my purpose that the world around me begins to overwhelm me, because now I'm focused on the problem and not the solution. You've got to guard your self-talk. You've got to literally teach yourself. And what just happened? I don't know what just happened. I hope y'all guys can still hear me. I don't know what happened. Man, that was weird. Energy. But anyway, you got to teach yourself by forcibly speaking things you probably don't feel. The first thing out of my mouth, and you guys hear me say this probably every day, the first thing out of my mouth every morning when I wake up, before I roll over, before I go anywhere near that phone, is thank you. I don't wake up thinking for a reason to say thank you. The fact that I opened my eyes was reason enough, first and foremost. But I know by saying thank you, I immediately trigger gratitude. Gratitude puts me at a frequency of about 500 to 550 hertz. I've already removed myself by a minimum of 300 hertz away from strife, stress, jealousy, envy, pain, fear, and so much more. I've done that just by saying thank you. Now, what else have I done? I've told my reticular activating system and my subconscious that I'm in a state of gratitude. Now, guess what it does? It goes out and finds reasons for me to be grateful. It goes out and finds reasons for me to be grateful. So, what am I getting at? You are in far more control of your life than you give yourself credit for. Now, I'm not telling you that circumstances and situations that are unfavorable won't roll into your paradise. I'm telling you that the vicissitudes of life are guaranteed to roll into your paradise. What I'm telling you is your circumstances are not indicative of your outcome. Your circumstances simply challenge you to be focused and fixed on the things that matter most. And if you're not prepared to take on the circumstances and challenges because you're still thinking that you're where you're at now is the indicator of where you'll be, you are literally stuck in this cycle, not because it's your lot in life. You've been poor all your life, not because poverty is your lot in life. You've been in abusive relationships your entire life, not because abusive relationships is your lot in life. It's because you gave power to the very thing that you despise. You stop focusing on what you could create out of your thoughts, out of your faith, out of your imagination, out of your expectations. You could create something that had not ever been done before in your family. That's how people are the first ones to be college graduates in their families. That's how people are the first ones to become millionaires in their families. That's how people are the first ones to break the cycle of trauma and abuse in their families. They decide, I'm not going to walk and be anchored in the past. I am not going to be held captive by my circumstances. I tell people all the time, this circumstance thing, you got to get it, you got to get an understanding of it. When I say circumstance, that's something that's happening now, but by its very definition is temporal. Unless you anchor yourself in it and identify with it. I tell people all the time, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. See, the circumstance is inevitable, but what comes out of it is a choice. See, I can look at the circumstance and I can decide that I'm going to connect with my higher power, my own higher self, the divine nature of God residing in me. Then I am connected to God when I'm able to do that because I'm operating on a higher frequency, a higher energy plane. I can hear from God because there's not the clamor of jealousy, strife, envy, worry, anxiety, fear, rage, all these different things that are 250 frequency, 250 hertz or lower in the frequency range. I'm not encumbered by that pain and that stress, which literally attacks the body and attacks organs, attacks the brain, attacks so many things that makes us sick. Do you realize that it starts in the mind? That's what psychosomatics is. It's the way that the mind impacts the body and the body impacts the mind. You got to be very, very careful of what you're saying to yourself. But I tell people all the time, see, I've had people tell me, Doc, you're in denial. Rick, you're in denial. I know what you're facing. I know what you're up against. And you're out here smiling like nothing's wrong. You're in denial. You're pretending. No, you're seeing things from the wrong vantage point. Let me invite you into my world and let you know what's going on here. See, you're looking at the circumstance. I'm aware of the circumstance, but I'm not looking at the circumstance. I'm looking beyond the circumstance, trusting my divine destiny that was given to me by way of purpose and gifting, that I'm going to come out of this thing. And I'm actually in my mind using the imagination given to me by God that most of us squeeze out of our children by the time they're 7, but was meant to be the way that they solve their problems. I'm in my imagination searching out my creativity to present to me a vision of what the outcome looks like when I overcome what I'm in. See, the outcome has to be a result of overcoming. And so I'm already knowing this is going to be a situation I overcome. I have never been trapped in something. I'm going to overcome it. I'm going to win. I'm going to rise up. I'm going to beat it. Let me tell you something. When you understand that, your spirit is in direct communication with the Spirit of God. However you want to look at it, however you want to see it, whatever you want to call it. Semantics doesn't matter to me. People get caught up in semantics, and if you said that, you can't say, call it what you want to, but at the end of the day, when you're able to have that divine connectivity, a real true relationship, you won't more than likely, I ain't gonna tell you people what can't happen, but you more than likely won't hear audibly from God. This spiritual conversation that takes place is more clear than audible. I mean, it's clear. It's almost like it's downloaded into you, and you go, okay. And then, but see, you got to have that stuff cleared out. You can't get to God in a frequency that harbors jealousy, a frequency that harbors anger, a frequency that harbors rage, a frequency that harbors fear. You got to get out of that. So gratitude is the rescue. Thank you. Immediately, when you say thank you, your brain starts to look for reasons to be thankful. But here's the thing. When I'm looking at this undesirable circumstance that I talk about in my prayer and meditation, this undesirable circumstance, everybody else is looking at it and going, oh man, what is he going to do this time? I'm already looking beyond it, and I'm communicating with God, and the answer is on the way. And so when you see me smile, it's not because I'm ignoring the circumstance. It's that I've looked ahead, and there's something in my spirit that disagrees with the circumstance. It's an illusion, because there are no obstacles to the mind of God. There's nothing that can trump the mind of God. God knows. And if I have access to it, I simply have to be in a place to receive the solution, the answer. But you can't receive it in fear, can't receive it in anxiety. You can't receive it in jealousy, anger, bitterness. You've got to come out of it. You got to start to speak. Guard your tongue. What are you speaking? I'm powerful. I'm blessed. I'm driven. I'm successful. Don't wait till you see it. Speak it. You share let me break it. You shall declare a thing, cut it out, isolate it, put it out in front, get it away from everything else. You shall declare a thing, and it shall be established, made whole, made real, brought into fruition. You shall declare. It didn't say that you have to experience a thing to declare a thing. You shall declare a thing and experience it. And that's the thing that we've got to learn how to do. We got to learn how to sit up and say, this, I'm not talking this. That's why old folks used to say it. They may not have even understood the science behind it, but they sit up and say, no, I don't receive that. I rebuke that. Now, they may not have known how to speak what they wanted, but they knew how to speak against it. Where did that come from? That came from Paul's letter to the church in Corinth. Second Corinthians chapter 10, starting at verse 3 says, though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are what? Carnal. Are not carnal, but mighty in God. For pulling down what? Strongholds. Old bad habits, old bad memories, old bad situations, pulling down strongholds. People sitting up saying you can't do it, pulling down strongholds. People trying to block your path, pulling down strong. It says that it's not carnal. The weapons we use aren't carnal. They're mighty in God for pulling down strongholds. Now I'm getting to the point that I love. It says casting down arguments. That's what those old folks were doing when they said, I don't receive it, I rebuke it. They're casting down arguments against their success, casting down arguments against their prosperity, casting down arguments against good health. You got to learn to speak it. I've literally seen people sit up and be diagnosed. My grandfather was one, again, like I say, unbelievable man, diagnosed with acute leukemia, given 2 weeks to live at age 78. I was called, I was out of town. Like I said, doing my thing. I was called, I was out of town. I flew in. The doctor talked to me, and my grandmother told my grandmother that we give him 2 weeks, and he suggested that we could just make him comfortable and eventually he'll pass away. And my grandmother said, no, You're going to go in there and tell him what you just told us. He may have some things he needs to get right with God before it's time for him to go. And that doctor went in and told my grandfather, remember, second grade education, had to drop out and go work in the fields. But he told my grandfather the same thing he told us. And my grandfather's response to him was, Doc, I'm pretty sure you've gone to school a whole lot of years to learn all the things you had to learn to be able to sit here and make that assessment and tell me. He said, but I'm going to tell you something. I've been walking with God a lot longer. You've been going to school, and I'm not about to die yet. Matter of fact, I'm going to walk out of this hospital, and I'm going to walk down the aisles of that church, and I'm going to praise God one more time. And that man and that doctor had that discussion at least 6 times after that for a total of 5 years. And at the end of this situation, this man walked up to me, this doctor who was an atheist when he started, but not afterwards. He didn't say he claimed any particular faith, but he did say there's got to be a God, because this stuff that we're looking at with your father is unbelievable. He said, and this is what he told me. He said, I'm going to tell you something. There are 2 things I know now for sure. He said, the first thing is your father isn't going to die until he gets ready to. The next thing is there's a God. And my grandfather in this did what he was there to do. And that's the beauty of this thing. But what he said was, I'm not. And I have watched over the time, in the work I do, in the research I do, people create environments of healing without medication from terminal sicknesses simply by saying, and we've been taught, though, that that's not possible anymore. Man, there's no such thing as impossible. He said, nothing shall be impossible to you. Nothing good shall be withheld from you. Then you should declare a thing and shall be established. The problem is a bunch of us are declaring the wrong thing. If you go back and you look in the book of Numbers, there's a point where the children of Israel have to make a decision. Are they going to believe the 10 spies who say we can't take it because of the giants? Or are they going to believe Joshua and Caleb, the other 2 spies who says, yes, the giants over there, but I believe God, we can take it? They decide to believe the 10. And God said, Moses, let me holler at you. Come here for a minute. He said, go back and tell them I have heard their complaining against me. Now that blew my mind. When I first heard, they didn't complain against you. They just said they're not going over there because they're afraid of those giants. But God had already told them it was theirs. God had already told them it was possible. God had already told them that you can do anything. And yet here they were. So then he says, go back and tell them that I've heard their complaints about me, and as they have spoken in my hearing, so shall I do to them. Now go back and look at what he told Job. He said, you shall declare a thing and it shall be established. Now, by all accounts, Job is the oldest book of the Bible, not Genesis. So this has been a principle long before the children of Israel stood at the Red Sea. So again, whether you believe in it or not, that's you. What I'm trying to get you to is principles that I've seen lived over and over again in and outside of any particular one religion. I'm telling you that faith has power. Faith activates things. It's an energy. It's an expectation. You will never, there's a reason why because you're never going to actually live life higher than your expectations. God always meets you at the level of your expectation. As you have spoken in my hearing, so shall I do to you. Now let's go back and finish what happens with the old folks rebuking in that last chapter, then we're done. He says that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down stronghold, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. But here's the one, bringing every thought into captivity. Bringing every thought into captivity. What you focus on, you feel. What you focus on, you feel. When I'm working with my clients, my thing is to get them to focus on the things that are going to give them power, give them hope, give them courage, inspire them. Because here's the thing, everybody's life has something that makes them feel down, makes them feel concerned. It's what I am trained to follow. The way I start my day tells you how I live my life. I'm not looking for the darkness. It'll find me. But I am light. So when darkness finds me, it tries to hang around, but it has to flee. Because see, darkness is the absence of light. It cannot overtake it. It simply exists because light is not present. When I make up in my mind that I am the light, darkness will come, but it has to flee. Guard your tongue. What are you speaking into your life that you don't want to experience? Stop giving power to negative situations. There's a gifting inside of you that is yearning to come forth and make room for you. Proverbs says that your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men, meaning that there will be people who will open doors for you and create opportunities for you solely based on your gift. God gave every last one of us one. Nobody's better than anyone else. Everybody has a different gift and a different purpose, but equal capacity, equal potential to impact this world. The problem is most of us have become convinced that we don't. So we meander through the maze of mediocrity. We hang out in the box of average and we chill. We're just trying to get through this life. You have a responsibility to show up in this life. That's what you have. So on that note, look, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you haven't registered for the Mastering AI Artificial Intelligence, if you haven't registered for that course that's taking place on the 30th of this month, the last day to register is Saturday. I'm taking the first 50. I'm giving away a $600 course, 7-day online business launch course, because I want you to have a way to create an online entity to take advantage of all these things. That's a $600 course. The webinar is $197. I'm giving you a $600 course. That's my most popular course, by the way. And I am also going to, you know what? I didn't put it in the box, but keep this video saved somewhere. I'm going to also give you the Mind Unleashed course. So I'm going to give you, that's a $600 course. I'm going to give you the 7-day online course, 7-day online course, online business launch course. I'm going to give you the Mind Unleashed course, which is basically what I've been talking about today. The importance of mindfulness, the importance of proper programming on your speech and on your thinking, so that you create the life that's there, so that you can be a representation of God in this world. I'm going to put that in there as well. Here's the big one. Everybody who registers will have their name put into a drawing. And whether you're there or not, if you're registered, you will be a part of this drawing, which I will do on the date of the webinar. And that person will be gifted my platinum package. It's a $15,000 package. It's a year with me, 52 sessions minimum, DISC assessment, personality assessment, 1-year plan, the entire works of working together. Imagine the energy you just experienced, but directed solely and specifically at your issues, your needs, your desires, your goals, and creating a step-by-step process to get you there, and walking you there, and encouraging you, and holding you accountable, and giving you the direction you need. This is where I've literally hung my hat for the last 10 years. And now I'm reeling back on, I don't do as many, but when I do it, I get excited about it. This is the one time this year that I'm actually going to give it away free. It's your chance to get out there and get it. But you have to register for this course to have the chance to win it. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys, as I always say, I live my life on full, so that when I leave this place, I die on E. That's a challenge I'm going to extend to everyone. Live your life on full. Don't take your potential to the grave with you. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys, thank you for visiting with me. Have an unbelievable remainder of your day.